In May of 1991, a young woman named Amy entered Tim Cantor's life, and he fell in love. For this modest artist, the attraction to Amy was immediate and intense. After meeting Amy, Tim knew that he no longer wanted to face the world alone, and his focus in life was forever changed. Suddenly, painting was not enough to fulfill him. He wanted Amy to share not only his art, but also his life. Amy too felt the immediate bond that grew between them, as she was drawn to the quiet and shy man who created such beautiful things. Tim's soft voice, emotional honesty, and great talent endeared him to her, and Amy fell deeply in love. Amy chose to leave college and travel with Tim as he showed his paintings throughout the United States. She became the official voice for his art and spoke about Tim Cantor's work in ways that he, because of his modesty, could not. It was obvious to the people who heard her that she loved both the art and the man who created it. Through Amy, the public learned about the artist's vigorous obsession to create the images that generated from his soul. She made people understand that for Tim, the sale of each painting provided the means to support the creative passion that followed him since childhood. By explaining Tim's attachment to each piece, the paintings were not merely a product for sale or method for financial gain. Amy was able to impress upon those who viewed his work the personal significance of each image. While Amy interacted with the public, Tim concentrated on painting. As the demand for his work increased and the value of his art became greater, Tim found himself painting more than ever. Although Tim was madly in love with Amy, satisfied with the growing acceptance of his work and pleased with the way life was unfolding, he was also profoundly troubled. His imagination was continuing to evolve, and the images he now wanted to create were vastly different from previous works. Tim had a difficult decision to make: continue painting the images that had made him popular or move into a different direction and risk losing his newfound success. Tim did not want to become branded as an artist who was known for a limited look or design, and therefore the choice weighed heavily on the young artist's mind. However, Tim was also concerned with the well-being of the woman who stood by his side, spoke for his work, and loved him beyond measure. Understanding that Amy's love was unconditional, Tim still felt compelled to provide her with the type of support and environment that would lead to an untroubled life. So the internal debate about what to do continued. Always perceptive of Tim's feelings, Amy sensed his distress and sat down with her new husband to explain the substance of their relationship. The possessions and monetary gain they would acquire from his art did not interest her. Instead, she found her life enriched because she loved the man who allowed his creative vision to act as his internal guide. Tim's artistic freedom was an inspiration for Amy. The work of each new creation made her life fuller than she could have ever imagined. He then understood clearly that whatever pleased him pleased her. With his distress eased and confidence bolstered, Tim's art moved in a direction that became a crucial period in his career. Tim followed no guidelines and painted whatever surfaced from his imagination. The unpredictability of his creations generated a rush of unforeseen excitement. Tim was greatly relieved as he quietly harbored the concern that few would appreciate this new direction. He knew that if too few people purchased his art, he would be forced into seeking outside employment, taking focus and time away from painting. Since the demand for his new paintings virtually surpassed his ability to create, his fears were unfounded. The situation taught Tim a valuable lesson. He could stay true to his artistic vision, building a life for Amy and himself by continuing to paint only the images that inspired him. The paintings that Tim Cantor created were overwhelmingly distinctive, compelling, and powerful. Many described his works as true modern examples that employed similar meticulous methods as the Renaissance masters. Though his imagery was significantly innovative, the procedures that Tim Cantor utilized to relate his impressions was something hardly found in the works of current-day artists. He applied numerous oil glazes of transparent paint, sometimes 100 or more layers, to achieve his signature echelon of depth, illusion of light, and richness of color. Amazing details would often be barely visible under shadows of the countless glazes. Each delicate stratum had to be dry before an additional layer could be applied. Strangely, these historical techniques that Tim Cantor exercised within his imagery came about purely by means of experimentation. Like the old masters of centuries ago, Tim Cantor ignored the passage of time and skilled himself in a technique that required a deep understanding and the absolute absence of impatience. Consequently, some paintings would take years to create. Nevertheless, Tim usually had a number of paintings at various stages of completion in his studio at any one time, somehow keeping the unique vision of each one alive in his mind throughout the entire process. This practice was how he continued to create enough paintings each year for exhibitions. Tim acknowledges that the struggle, perseverance, and gratification experienced through the years have given him a sense of balance to his life and work. With a loving wife and a rising following from around the world, Tim Cantor's mind has grown more capricious than ever. Entranced in his own chaos of ideas, he welcomes the fact that he has no plan for the direction of his work apart from an obsessive continuance.